Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Becoming a Therapist podcast. Today, I have with me Nikki McDowell-Horn. She is a therapist who works with specifically telehealth and specifically clients who have chronic illnesses, disabilities, other really outside of the box issues. So, Nikki, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just so curious after watching your YouTube channel, after looking at all of your stuff, compassionate counseling, am I saying that right?
Um, Actually, it's Compassionist. It's somebody who
Compassion.
believes in compassion. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but can you start by explaining compassionist counseling and just your like worldview as a counselor and how does that all fit in?
Yeah. So Compassionist counseling is um services, Compassionist counseling services, that's the name. It's built to with the focus of compassion for every client and their unique experience. I believe that compassion is the quickest and safest way to allow people to heal, that space to heal with the help of the therapist. And so I put that as the foundation. It's not the main modality, but everything I do is couched in compassion. So,
I love that. It's like Carl Rogers kind of stuff.
yes.
Yeah, it's good. Just getting back to the basics. So you're really holding space for folks who need it and just need somebody who loves them.
Yeah, genuinely, yes.
Wow. Okay, so I'm curious. I want to hear about your therapist origin story. So what degree you chose and grad school program and what license and what state you're in now. I just want to give you the floor and just kind of hear like how did you get here?
Yeah, well, I actually was pursuing I was pursuing speech language pathology in graduate school. And uh, at the end of the first year, I realized that it's not the best fit, because I am fully disabled. I'm in a wheelchair and I have a hereditary muscle disease, very severe, very weak, and there's a lot of stuff in speech language pathology that I can't quite handle physically. So I was redirected to the um, either social worker counseling programs there at the same grad school, and I just tried it out. I picked counseling. I tried it out, and it felt like a flower in bloom inside of me. It felt like it was just perfect. Everything I was learning was so exciting, and I felt passionate about it, and I was so excited to try it and help people. It really was exactly what I needed. So practiced um, I practiced at an internship that I was through basically through the school, um, not really through the school, but through my advisor. He had his own business, it's a charity, and so I was providing free therapy as an intern, and it was an incredible experience. And then after I graduated, it was a much harder experience. I currently have an associate level non-independent degree in license in New Mexico, Texas, and I'm working on Virginia. Um, and that is not the natural process for most graduate students. They pick one, they stick with it, they get their independent license, and then if they want, they can get um, they can apply, and you get like reciprocity sometimes, and you don't have to do this many times. But for me, because I'm fully disabled, I am actually homebound. And so everything that I have done clinically has been remote. I don't know if that makes me some kind of pioneer or what, but um, there's not a whole lot of employment available for people um, who are non-independently licensed and fully remote, especially when you have to have supervision. So, it's been a little bit of a struggle. This is definitely the hardest part for me. If there's anybody who's disabled, this is gonna be the hardest part for you too. But I have things that I've learned, so um, and I could give some advice there that might help. But I yeah, I think that it's still worth it, and I think that there honestly it would have been a perfect um it would be a perfect mm, kind of coupling between disabled individuals and counseling practice, because they have the lived experience of suffering, and overcoming that suffering, and communication, using their ability to communicate. They can do this kind of work and hold that space for people. I think that it would have been a great thing if we had already had that path laid out, but maybe I'm working toward it. I don't know.
I think you are. It sounds like you said, a pioneer. I mean, it takes a lot of creativity and just logistical gymnastics to make it work, and you're making it work. So you said you might have some advice for people who are in a similar position as you. I'm really curious. Like, what do you wish you could tell your younger self?
Yeah. Well, if I were to be able to talk to my younger self, I'd say, hang on, hang in there. It's going to be a rough ride. Um, but it's worth it. And you'll see that every step of the way, you'll see little glimmers. Like when you help somebody and it just clicks, that's so worth it. It's worth it. Okay. That's one thing I would tell myself. But also, I would say, um, so when you get out of graduate school, um, if you have a disability, and you need telehealth only, if you're attempting what I'm doing, um, do a national search for potential supervisors who may be open to working with you, and possibly have a penchant for believing in people, in them overcoming things, because not every therapist does, not every supervisor does. There's a lot of fear out there regarding liability, and your license and everything. So it takes a special person to be able to put that fear in a container and say, I'm going to do this because I believe in this person. I believe that this person can do it. And so when you do that national search and you find somebody that kind of matches what your modality is, connect with them, see if you vibe, because that's another thing. The supervision relationship is crucial to your development. I have several times thought, I'm just going to quit. And this is my calling. This is my calling. You can't, I mean, I actually genuinely care. I really don't think that somebody like me should quit. And I've been told by clients not to. And so, I just really feel like um, if you want to grow, find somebody who's helping, who's wanting to help you, really genuinely wants to help you, you know, and they are out there. They really are. So don't give up and hang in there. And I would love to start a foundation that helps to connect these people. I think that would be incredible. We're kind of starting to move backward toward requiring in-person um, meetings, and yet I've seen real change happen fully remote, and so I really I think that it's a little bit too gatekeeping, and I feel like we could really make some big changes here.
Yeah, that's hard to hear about the rollbacks, because I mean that's less accessibility for people on both sides. So that's less access to care for people, and like you said, less being able to change lives. Wow. Okay. So it's a rough road. It sounds like it's worth it, but I mean, I don't want to downplay how rough of a road it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious about you as a therapist. I want to hear about your style. Is there any modality that really sticks out for you, or any certain like type of therapy that is really encompassing of your style?
Yeah. Okay, so like I said, everything I do, I create a compassionate space. Um, I maintain the attunement between me and whoever's on the other side, full attention. But when it comes to modalities, I use an integrative approach with, really whatever the client seems to need at the moment. I've personally had to work a little bit when it comes to wanting to save the client and fix the situation that they're in right away. I think that I hear that that happens a lot, not just with me. A lot of therapists want to be um, of help right away, but sometimes clients just need a space to be heard. So if that's the case, then we do that. I just listen and reflect. But then there's more. If they need CBT or DBT interventions, I have those on hand. I know a lot of them by memory. And then I I love mindful self-compassion. I took some training in that, and I use those if they seem to be lacking a little bit of self-compassion tools. Um, and I also uh, do a lot of trauma processing using psychodynamic talk therapy. We just kind of talk through it and then maybe challenge some assumptions that we've had that we developed during that time. If we need less talking and more um, direct processing work, like immediate change, um, EMDR is quicker, and I am now practicing EMDR. I finished the first part of the training for it, and now I'm in the practicing portion. And so it is incredible to watch, but that has much less back and forth. It's more of, using the client's own neurobiology um, to process through the things that have happened. So those are the main modalities I use.
Yeah, okay. And that makes sense with your population. EMDR would be a big one.
Yeah.
I feel like trauma is present in a lot of different things, so that's wonderful to hear. So a huge part of my channel is providing professional development resources for grad students or future grad students or people kind of in that stage of life. I'm curious now that you've gotten to the other side and now that you're actually practicing, are there any resources that you swear by, whether it's platforms or tools for notes or for scheduling or for CEUs or whatever? What do you think other people should check out?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, for CEUs, because you're gonna need that in order to renew your license anywhere. All of the states that I'm in, they all require that. So, for CEUs, I would genuinely, I did not know this until I was actually practicing, um, and other people told me, but check out state funded um, trainings that are available. Sometimes through like different boards, like the social work board in New Mexico has a list of, sometimes they offer free trainings or discounted trainings. And it's just like all the time they update it and give new ones. Um, there in New Mexico, that's how I'm getting the EMDR training is free. Because yeah, New Mexico has um, uh, put a bunch of money into training uh, practitioners who work with Medicare um, and Medicaid in order to uh, like boost the efficacy of the practitioners and the clients that they see getting that um, benefit. So check that out. Check out anything like that. Um, you never know what's out there, and but be careful, obviously. Another thing is, um, when it comes to EHR, the system that you would use to put your notes in and everything, um, the medical records system, I would say if you're doing mostly telehealth, Simple Practice has an extra feature. It's a whiteboard feature. I haven't used it yet, so I can't like guarantee that that works or anything. But there is no other EHR that provides telehealth features that also has a whiteboard. I mean, but if you want just any kind of EHR and what's the best out there, so far I think Sessions Health has been good, and I've tried a lot. Um, so I think Sessions Health is probably my number one EHR. And then when it comes to like just books and things that are good to keep in mind, maybe read. If you want to better understand what the client brings into the session, um, who your client is, how they've developed, there's two books. There's one called A General Theory of Love. It's by several different authors. But A General Theory of Love is incredible for learning about love, you know, how people fall in love, how people are attracted, the brain, the processes, and everything. And it's such a good, and it blends art with science, and really just takes a good look at all of it. It's really good. And then the second book that I recommend is, sorry, I'm already thinking of a third book. The second book I recommend is The Body Keeps the Score, especially if you're working with trauma. Definitely, it will touch on all the different um in all the different theories and interventions and things like that that have come up. Even like polyvagal theory is mentioned in there. I mean, it's incredible. EMDR. So definitely that one. And I guess the third book that I'm thinking about is Man's Search for Meaning. by Viktor Frankl. That one, if you care about how people make meaning out of their suffering, um, that is an incredible book to read.
Yeah, those are some really, really good resources. I feel like those are classics.
Yeah.
Good reminders there. I like that. So, I want to shift gears for a second. So, a lot of my audience are about to embark on a big, big life change. I'm curious, could you go back to the time where you were announcing to friends and family and the people in your life that you were becoming a therapist? And I don't know, how did they take it? Like, do you remember that chapter of life? I want to kind of hear what it was like to just announce that.
Yeah. Um, Most of my family and friends were kind of like they were excited for me, but also kind of like, yeah, I knew that you would make a good counselor. You already care so much about people. It makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually had a counselor in high school uh kind of mentioned that I might be a good counselor someday, and I was like, no, I can't handle the emotion that the that the other person brings in the room. I really I held that belief for a long, long time. But I think that as a teen, yeah, it's kind of hard to hold your own emotions as well as somebody else's. So that makes sense then. But I grew into the kind of person who can hold a space for someone else and still make pretty rational decisions about what I'm gonna do with my expression of emotion. You can express that on your own, when you're um on your own. So anyway, it all worked out, but yeah, that's pretty much the response.
Yeah, so it sounds like there was maybe a little bit of unlearning that needed to happen, a little bit of these assumptions that got challenged. So, what was your idea of a therapist back then, and what's your idea of a therapist now?
Um Back then, I thought a therapist was a little more like a doctor.
Hmm.
You go, you explain your problem, and then they give you a prescription of, not medicine, but different kind of prescription. Um, and I figured that I would be the kind of person that as a therapist, I would just be listening a lot. And I thought I can do that. I can listen. Um, Now I have a much fuller picture of what a therapist is, and I have an even deeper philosophy of um, counseling. I really feel that therapy um, can be kind of a ministering mission where you are you are aiding somebody, almost like they're on a battlefield, and you're a medic and you're giving them what they need to get back up, you know. But not just that. Also, I see less of doctor status and more of like physical therapist status, where I'm facilitating what they have to do for themselves. Unfortunately, I can't actually save them. I can hand them, the bandage or whatever they need. I can get that for them, but they have to actually work on their self-saving skills, you know. So it's been really interesting, but I really feel like I have a much deeper grasp and honestly a stronger bond with this profession.
Yeah, and I love how you touch on client responsibility because I feel like that's an awkward one to talk
Yeah.
about, But there's this healthy mentality of like, okay, we're not saving them. They're the ones that are changing their lives, and like you said, we're just helping facilitate that. So some stuff that kind of maybe caught you off guard a little bit. I'm curious, what's the most surprising part of becoming a therapist, or maybe a challenge that nobody warned you about? I know you've listed a lot of challenges specific to your situation, but I'm curious, are there any more that come to mind?
Yeah. Um, Challenges. I think really stressing the challenge of finding the right supervision um, relationship.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of young therapists start to get burned out on how they're treated, um, especially when there's like a hierarchy and the supervisor is their own job is on the line. There's a lot of fear that um, drives decision making. And so just be on the lookout for why somebody might be responding to you in that way, when they're giving you criticism or whatever. Um, and try to distance your personal self from that. It's not personal. Um, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are not fit to be a counselor just because you're making mistakes young. That's a huge thing, and I really have a lot of concern for everybody who's just starting in this field, that they'll give up. We need mental health therapists. We need it. I don't want to ever discourage somebody from trying to help the community. That is so important to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's heavy. Because you're right, we are really needed and we save lives. And that's a lot of pressure. That's
Yes.
hard. But it's a sacred space. So what's the hardest part about becoming a therapist, in your opinion?
I think if it wasn't for my disability, I think maybe the hardest part might be um, just the practice when you get out of grad school, and making mistakes that make you concerned that you're liable,
Hmm.
or could lose some, like your license, or you lose your employment. That might be the hardest part. But for me personally, the hardest part is this part, just trying to get to independent licensure when a lot of people don't want to take that risk. I finally found somebody in Virginia who's willing to take that risk. But
Mm.
I haven't quite gotten the license yet, so I'm waiting to find out, but I'm hoping third time's a charm and I can finally work toward independent licensure.
Hmm. Yes, yes, for sure, finally. So, what is your niche or specialty, your like ideal population of clients that you love working with?
Um, I really enjoy working with adults, and adults with trauma. I really feel that, especially childhood trauma, I really feel that there's a lot of people out there that they kind of dismiss their past trauma, but the thing is that trauma still filters your worldview. It still affects your present day, and the more that um, current struggles test you, the more your past trauma shows up. So that's when I love helping people get back to the start and reorient that, and then that really changes their view of themselves and the world, like a tree. You fix the roots and then the whole tree is blooming, so it's really
Yeah,
good.
that sounds refreshing if you feel like you're a dead, scraggly little tree to actually have blooms again. I mean, that's life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what does success mean to you in this career? And how has that definition of success as a therapist kind of evolved for you?
Um, so success was, I really thought that success would just be, you know, clients saying, "Yeah, you're great. You did exactly what I needed," or whatever. Um, I have learned that success is, well, I I'm a little bit philosophical, I guess. I think success in this field genuinely is just attempting, just any amount of work that you do in this field, because I see success on a global level now. If you are being that ripple effect at all, it doesn't matter if even if you decide I can't do it anymore. You at least attempted, you made some changes, and that's success to me, because when you don't even try, um, that's when there's a lot of people that could have had your help, you know, could have
Yeah.
used your impression on their lives.
Yeah. Whew. That's very sweet. That's very refreshing. Yeah. So anything we can change, it reminds me of the starfish story of the kid throwing the starfish back into the ocean. Like, we're just trying to do the best that we can. And any little small step towards being healthier is worth it.
I forgot about that story. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. So I feel like with being a therapist, it is so hard to, I don't know, almost sort out like we have our personal views and we have our views as a therapist, and hopefully those are like very, very much overlapping, right? We're not going to just like go home and like no longer care about people. But also with that comes a lot of compassion fatigue. So do you think you could speak on that? Like, what do future therapists need to know about that compassion burnout, that caregiver burnout, that compassion fatigue, whatever you want to call it?
Yes. Well, okay, so everybody's going to handle it differently.
Okay.
I know a few tricks and tips, and it's going to be different for what I do. Um, I definitely feel it. A lot of I carry the weight. I think I'll always carry the weight of the stories I've heard. But personally, I I see everybody is connected. I see that my clients are out there, my past clients are out there somewhere doing their best. And I can feel in the world that we are all connected and we are all mutually suffering, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just I think it's more of like a like breathing in. You're gonna breathe in, you're gonna breathe out, and it's just gonna keep going in a cycle, and just breathe it out, you know?
Hmm.
Um, all you can do is there is so much suffering in the world and all around you. Really, all you can do is focus on you right now. What am I doing right now? What can I do? Even in session, what am I doing? Am I listening? Am I there?
Hmm.
Do I feel myself in the chair? That kind of thing, you know? If it gets to be too much, reground yourself. But then there's some other things like you separation of professional life and personal life. Do something physically that, or even visualizing, um, to separate yourself from your professional self. As soon as the day is done, you know, you set it up so that in your mind, as soon as I shut the car door, that's it. I'm home. I'm somebody else, you know, and I'm letting go of what has happened today. Some people do that in the shower. They'll come home, take a shower. In the shower, I'm washing away all that I've heard and dealt with today, you know. These are wonderful exercises to help you kind of compartmentalize. You do eventually have to work through it. So I suggest therapy for yourself, you know. I suggest that for everybody anyway, because it gives you an idea of what the client's going through. That really helped me grow as a professional. But and mindful self-compassion is my last suggestion. There's a whole lot of specifically for compassion fatigue and caregiver burnout trainings out there. Mindful self-compassion is it really opened it up for me on learning about my relationship with myself when I took those trainings. So I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, well, that's all very valuable information. I mean, especially separating professional life from work life. From somebody who works from home, I mean, you're gonna have a tough time separating it. So that's really valuable insight into that. So I want to hear what's next for you in your work.
Yeah. Um, so right now, I'm gonna attempt to get my hours in Virginia. And as soon as I get independent licensure, then I will be able to take insurance for my company. I have my private counseling company, Compassionist Counseling Services. However, it is currently only private pay, and it's a little bit hard to market private pay only with also being virtual only. Um, so, um, it serves New Mexico right now, but I'm hoping that I will open up to as many states as possible when I get independent license.
Yeah.
And start taking insurance and start showing up in directories. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Yeah, and it makes me wonder how the counseling compact would impact,
I'm
careers
so
such as yours.
excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh
That was going to
yeah.
be my next question. Yeah?
Yeah, I love it. I think that, and so right now, as far as I know, New Mexico and Texas are not signed up into it, but Virginia is. I don't know if that's
Hey.
fortuitous or what, but you know, I feel like if I did get an independent license there, man, so many different states I can apply in a relatively quick process and start to serve other people in the same country, you know, who need the same kind of help.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially with those of us that have a niche, it
Yeah.
really it really helps to be able to go across state lines, for sure. So, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about you and more about your work?
Yeah. I have a website. It's got everything plus extra tools and videos and things that I've created just for free, you know. And it's so the address is compassionistcounseling.com. Compassionist with IST.
Yes. Yes. Okay, well, Nikki, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really value all of your insight and all of your expertise in this area. Is there anything that you want to say to my listeners before we wrap up?
Yes, yes. Please, may you be gentle with yourself.
I love that. That's perfect. Well, Nikki, thanks again. And to my listeners, thank you so much for watching through the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and then check out all of Nikki's stuff. I'm going to link it at the end. There'll be like a thumbnail where you can see her channel and her video. And then I'll have more of her information in the show notes. Okay, so take care, and I wish you the best of luck on your journey towards becoming a therapist.
Thank you.